हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। भवानी शङ्करो वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वतीपतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। So we have seen 12 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, past so many days. Now we will begin the study of the 13th chapter, which is very important chapter, very sublime. So before we begin this chapter, let us go back and briefly see all that we have studied, the main points. See, we are studying Bhagavad Gita. Gita is the essence of the Vedas, and especially the Upanishads. The study of Gita itself is complete. There is no need to then study any other text to guide us towards our supreme goal. Gita sugita kartavyaha kim anya shastra vistaraihi ya swayam padmanabhasya mukha padmat vinishruta. It has come directly from that Padmanabh, Supreme Ishvara himself. So we saw that it begins with Arjuna's delusion. He is deluded and extremely dejected when he arrives on the battlefield. So he requests Bhagwan to take his chariot in between the two armies. But when he saw his own people there, he became very deluded, and he gave up his bow and arrow and just sat there saying that I won't fight. So Bhagwan tried to convince him that this is not proper. Klebhyam masmagamap partha nai tatvai yupapadyate. You should give up this cowardliness and get up and fight. But then Arjuna said, how can I fight with my own people, with Bhishma, Pitamaha, Dronacharya? They are most worshipful. And with this war, so many people will die, and I will become responsible for the death of so many of them. So Arjuna had this confusion regarding the nature of the self, about life and death, and the nature of his duty, which gave rise to this confusion and sorrow. But this is the problem with all of us. This itself is what is called samsara, filled with sorrow, pain, dejection, depression, fear, different types of suffering. And the main cause of all this suffering, the root cause of all this suffering, is ignorance of our own self, not knowing ourselves as we really are, not recognizing our supreme nature. So that is the solution for all the problems of all the jivas. Know yourself and become free. Know yourself and gain that supreme peace and happiness. Therefore, Bhagwan begins this teaching from the 2nd chapter onwards. He teaches Arjuna the nature of the Supreme Self, Atma Vidya. The body which we are experiencing is constantly changing and dying, but the self which is expressing through this body, which is expressing through the mind, the intellect, the senses, that self is birthless and deathless. na jayate mriyate va kadachit. It cannot be destroyed by any weapons, it cannot be destroyed by the five great elements also. It cannot be burned by fire or destroyed by any other elements. It is indestructible, supreme self. So the whole purpose of our this journey of our life, not only in this birth but in so many births which we have taken, is to ultimately come to realize our own self. Till we realize ourself, we will continue to come into this world in different life forms and suffer. So Bhagavan indicated the nature of this self which is expressing in this body itself. So don't have to go anywhere to recognize this self. We have to just dive within and come to realize this self. As Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says, कि हृदि विषम मनसा स्वम चिन्वता मज्जता पवन चलन रोधात आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम. You enter your own heart through contemplation, through pranayam, through diving, and recognize your own self and become free. Gain that steady understanding of your own supreme nature. So only by recognizing ourself we can become free. The one who has realized his own self is called a person of steady wisdom, sthita prajna. So the characteristics of sthita prajna was also revealed in the second chapter at the concluding verses. Bhagavan talked about the sthita prajna. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan atman nevatmana tushtaha sthita prajnas tadochyate. But then Arjuna could not understand the whole thing properly. He could not dive within his own heart and recognize that self. Because in order to dive within and to understand ourselves, we need the help of our mind, intellect, and they need to be pure and steady. Their purity is very important. So the mind, intellect should be pure and should have the proper understanding. Then we can meditate and gain abidance in our own self. But how can we purify our mind? It has been dirty for many, many lifetimes. What is making it dirty? Our ignorance of ourself and our raga, dvesha, likes, dislikes, and millions of types of different desires which are there. So how can we clean this mind? What is the method of cleaning the mind? If it has been dirty for so many lifetimes, how can we purify the mind? Bhagavan says you can do so through karma. Because of faulty karma, it has become impure. So right karma can make it pure. Karma not only at the level of our body, but at the level of our senses, our mind, our intellect. We can do karma. So physically we do karma, emotionally we have proper attitude, proper understanding, and through these actions we can purify our mind. So this technique of purifying the mind through right action is what is called karma yoga. So the first we have to recognize our duties properly in this world. Because we are born in this world, in a particular place, in a particular family, in a particular community. So based on all this, we have our specific role to play in this world with respect to our family, with respect to the world around, the nature, the devatas, the rishis. So we have responsibility towards all of them. So understanding all those responsibilities, when we perform our actions and dedicate those actions to Ishvara, then that becomes Karma Yoga. And when we do this, follow this Karma Yoga sincerely, there is no shortcut. There is no escaping Karma Yoga. When we sincerely follow this path of Karma Yoga, our mind will start becoming more and more pure. But we have been collecting so many impurities from past so many lifetimes. Can only Karma Yoga purify the mind? He said, yes. Karma Yoga itself becomes more refined as Upasana, which further purifies the mind. Just as we can clean our clothes with water, but we can put some detergent or special soap to further clean the water, the clothes. Similarly, we can clean the mind with Upasana, which was then taught in the 4th chapter. Bhagwan gave various upasanas like pranayam, like niyata ahar, like tapas, like dana, japa, and swadhyay. Through this, we can further purify our mind. And once the mind becomes pure, we become fit to understand what the scriptures are saying. Otherwise, everything goes above our head. We just don't understand. Just by listening, there is no guarantee that we will understand. We can understand when our mind is well tuned to it. Just by having a radio will not make me listen to the songs which are broadcast from a particular station. I have to put on the radio, then tune it to that station. Then only I can hear FM. I have to tune it properly to the exact that point also, frequency. Then I can hear. Similarly, purifying mind means tuning the mind through Karma Yoga and Upasana to the frequency at which the scriptures are broadcast by the teacher. Then only we can hear, otherwise we won't. So once the mind becomes pure, we approach a teacher. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya, and serve the teacher and ask questions and gain that knowledge of the self. And once we gain that knowledge of the self, once the understanding becomes clear, once we come to understand exact nature of our own self, the self which is expressing through this body is Brahma. Once we understand this properly, then we have to drop our identification with our body, mind, intellect. We should drop our identification with the sense of doership which we have falsely accepted, and meditate on that self. So dropping this identification with the body, mind and all karmas is called karma sannyas. That was elaborately discussed in the 5th chapter of Gita. Bhagavan talked about karma sannyas. That is the first step towards meditation. First we have to purify the mind, gain the knowledge, then karma sannyas, and then meditate. Dhyana. That dhyana was discussed elaborately in the 6th chapter. Bhagavan says, once your mind becomes pure, once you have become yogarudha, if you have not become fit for dhyana, then you should do karma. Arurukshor muner yogam karma karanamuchyate yogarudhasya tasyeva shamak karanamuchyate. Once you have become yogarud, then you can meditate. Slowly and steadily withdraw your attention from everything and focus it on the self. Shane shane ruparamed buddhya dhriti grihitaya atma sanstam manakritva na kinchidapi chintayet. And then don't think about anything else and gain that abidance in your own self. Bhagavan says, one who gains this abidance, gains direct realization of the self, then there is nothing more to be gained. There is nothing more to be achieved. There is no happiness greater than this. There is no gain greater than this. Then this enlightened person looks at the whole world as his own self. Atmaupamena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjuna sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. Is a param yogi who looks at all the beings as his own self. He gains that sarvatma bhav, comes to understand that the self in me itself is the self in all. That self in me is called the Atma, but when we realize that the self in me itself is the self in all, is the Param Atma, that Brahma. So a yogi comes to recognize himself as that Param Brahma. But still, one may find it difficult to meditate on ourself as that Brahma, because the nature of Brahma might not be very clear. There will be confusion regarding the nature of this world and the nature of Brahma, because we constantly experience this world, and the scripture says that this Atma is Brahma, and other than Brahma nothing is there. But we experience this world. So what is the relationship of this world with Brahma? And what is the relationship of this world with me? I am Brahma, so what is the relationship of this world with me? Many people foolishly consider the world as mithya. World is not mithya. World is my own expression. World is the expression of Brahma. Brahma is indicated in our scriptures as the very cause of this world. He is not only the material cause but also the efficient cause of this world. Just like the gold is the cause of all the ornaments, similarly Brahma is cause of all this world. So in order to make this very clear, Bhagavan starts revealing the nature of Brahma, that is his own self. When Bhagavan Krishna is speaking, he is Sakshat Brahma only. As Ishvara, he creates the world, but his Swarupa is that Brahma. So Bhagavan from the 7th chapter started revealing his nature. He said that I have these two prakritis, para and apara prakriti. See, prakriti is Bhagavan's Shakti. This prakriti itself is called Maya. Mayam tu prakritim vidyat. So para and apara prakriti is Bhagwan's Shakti. But this Shakti is not different from Ishvara. So that Supreme Brahma, Shakti of that Brahma is called Prakriti. So Shakti Yukta Brahma, when we talk about Brahma along with his Shakti, he is referred to as Ishvara, but same. So Ishvara reveals that I have this twofold Shakti, Para and Apara, and through this only I am appearing like this world, and I am also appearing like all the beings. So through his Apara Prakriti, Bhagwan alone is seen as this world. Bhumi rapo nalo vayu kham mano buddhirevacha ahankariti yamme bhinna prakriti rashtadha apareyam itastvanyam prakritim viddhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagata. And other than this apara prakriti is this para prakriti. Through the para prakriti, Ishvara alone appears like all the jiva, and he supports this world. So the jivas and this world are Ishvara alone, appearing through his Shakti. Because Ishvara is Nirguna Nirakar, free from all modification or all change. So Ishvara through his Shakti appears like the world and the jivas. Okay. So I now experience myself in this body, looking at this world through my senses, thinking about the world through my mind, intellect. That I is the jiva, and all that I experience is the jagat. But this jagat is also Ishvara, and I am also Ishvara. Jagat is also Ishvara, I am also Ishvara. The essential nature of Jagat is Ishvara, that is Brahma, and essential nature of myself is Brahma. But now, due to ignorance, I don't understand this and get deluded. So, by following this path of Karma Yoga, Upasana, etc., we have to recognize ourselves. We have to, Karma Yoga is nothing but Bhakti only. So, through this Bhakti Marga, we have to purify ourselves and recognize Ishvara. Bhagwan said in the 7th chapter that I have these 4 types of devotees. Those who approach me because they suffer and they are so sad and so miserable that they remember me and approach me. Then there are those who want something in this world and they approach me. And there are those who want to understand me, they want to know me and they approach me. And there are those who have understood, they have realized me. So these 4 types of bhaktas, artha, artharthi, jidnyasu and jnani. And one who approaches me with love, with devotion, they come to understand me, recognize me, realize me, and become free of this samsara. Bhagavan said, even at the time of death, if you meditate on me and leave this body, you will gain liberation. So Arjuna had this question that about various terms which Bhagavan used in the 7th chapter, in the concluding verses of 7th chapter. So he asked, and Bhagavan explained them in the 8th chapter. what is Adhyatma, what is Adhideva, what is Adhiyajna, what is Brahma, what is Karma, and how we can know Bhagwan at the time of death. So all this Bhagwan explained, and he also said that whatever we think at the time of death, we gain that gati. Therefore you meditate, think about me, and leave this body and you will attain me. Then in the 9th chapter again Bhagwan continues to talk about himself. He said that everything is myself. He says this whole world is pervaded by me. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina. Everything in this world, everything, I pervade the whole world. But the world, as you see, constantly changes and all. But my supreme nature doesn't change. So people get deluded seeing this change and all. But even the changing world is my own self only. So Maya tatamidam sarvam, I pervade the whole world, but I am unmanifest, I am not seen. And the whole world exists in me. Matstani sarva bhutani. But I am not in this expression. The expression doesn't belong to they are not my supreme nature. World is seen as changing, but I don't change. World is seen as limited, but I am not limited. So these are my expression due to my Shakti, Prakriti. So I am not in this changing phenomena. Don't consider this changing phenomena as my nature. So I am not in the world. And in my Supreme Being, there is no world, there is only myself. Once you recognize me, you will know that other than me, nothing is there. World is also myself. Jivas are also myself. Once you recognize gold, then everything is gold only. All the names and forms, all the various ornaments are nothing but gold. So Bhagavan explained this and also talked further about his bhakti, karma. This karma yoga itself is bhakti also. When we do offer all our karmas to Ishvara with love, Bhagavan says, even if you offer me a little bit of water or flower or a fruit or even a leaf, I accept it. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti puritam ashnami prayatatma bihi. Then Bhagavan says that even if you are a very sinful person, but when you decide to walk this path of spirituality, you become a sadhu only, you become a good person. And you keep me in your mind and keep striving to attain me, and I will take care of all your needs. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahami aham. I will take care of all your needs. So Bhagavan had said that he pervades the whole world, means he is there in the whole world and everything is in him. So Arjuna wanted to know that what are your various spatial expressions on which I can meditate, I can contemplate, so that my mind becomes pure and I am able to understand you. What are your vibhutis? So in the 10th chapter, Bhagavan revealed many of his vibhutis. He said, I am the sun, the moon, the stars. I am the river, the mountain. I am the human being, animal, birds. I am the Devtas, I am the Gandharvas. I am the Vedas. I am the sound, I am taste, I am touch. I am fragrance. revealed many of these vibhutis. ये सब कुछ मैं ही हूँ, मैं, everything is myself. He said that the whole world is just seated in a little aspect of me, little amsh of me. Ekam sena sthito jagata. So Arjuna again wanted to see that Bhagwan as this Vishwarupa. Bhagwan has said that I am the world, world is myself. Again and again he said. So Arjuna says, I want to see you in that form. I want to see, because I am as a jiva, from a limited eyes, when I look, the whole world appears so vast and so infinite, and you are hidden in this world. So I want to see you as this world, with all the beings, with all the lokas. Bhagavan says, okay, I will show you. But you can't see me with your eyes as you have now. So I will give you divine chakshu, divyam dadamite chakshuhu. So with that special vision, Bhagwan showed Arjuna his Vishwarupa. Arjuna saw that Vishwarupa, the most magnificent form of Ishvara. Ishvara is this whole world, everything, all the devatas, all the beings, all the lokas, everything is Ishvara alone. सब कुछ ईश्वर ही है. And Bhagwan showed him his Ugra Roop also, and also showed what will happen in the war. That how he has killed Bhishma, Drona, Jayadratha, Karna. Kalosmi Bharatarshava. I am Kala. So Arjuna got frightened. He did stuti. Sthane Rishikesha Tava Prakirtya Jagat Pravrushyat Janurajyate Cha. He does Bhagwan stuti and again requests Bhagwan to come back in his Saumya Rupa. Bhagwan showed his Saumya Rupa, but he told that those who worship me, those who dedicate their life, their activities to me, totally immerse themselves into me, they attain me, they become free of this samsara. I help them. So again in the 12th chapter, Arjuna asked Bhagwan that what is better, your Nirgun, Nirakar, Rupa, its Upasana, or the Upasana of your Sagun, Sakar, Vyakta, Rupa as Vishwarupa. Bhagwan says both are good, because both Upasanas will take you to me. You will attain me. But if you compare them, then Sagun Upasana is easier, it has got less klesha, and I help them. Nirgun Upasana is more difficult because the body attachment, if it is there, then there is more klesha. But if you have enough vairagya and knowledge, then nothing like Nirgun Upasana, you can attain me immediately, directly. But if you don't have that proper understanding and vairagya, then you do Sagun Upasana and I will help you and you can become free. So Bhagwan told again and again that the whole world is himself. And I, that Jiva, is actually that Bhagwan only as Brahma. So Aham Brahmasmi, I am Atma Brahma. That is the main teaching of the whole, all the Vedas and Upanishads. But this is so subtle that even when told hundreds of times, it doesn't, many of us don't uh, don't recognize it. It doesn't get registered. So Bhagavan tells again and again in different ways. So he had told that the whole world is myself. This world is also called Kshetra. Why it is called Kshetra, that we will see. This world is called Kshetra, and the Jiva who is seeing this world is called Kshetrajna. The Kshetra, Kshetrajna and Ishvara. They are not three. Ishvara alone. Ishvara is that Brahma only. So Brahma alone expresses a Kshetra and Kshetrajna. At present, I am at the level of Kshetrajna, in the sense I am identified with this body. So from my level, the teaching is given till I recognize myself as that Brahma. So Bhagavan has said that he is the world. So many times he said that the world is myself. The Kshetra is myself. So here in this chapter, Bhagavan reveals the exact nature of the Kshetra, and he also tells that the Kshetrajna is also myself. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi. So in this chapter, by ascertaining and contemplating and understanding the nature of Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the nature of Ishvara is ascertained. Ishvara is Nirgun Nirakar, but the world is seen, and I experience myself to be also there. So through understanding the nature of the world and by understanding my own nature, we can understand Ishvara. Therefore this chapter begins to ascertain the nature of Ishvara through the Kshetra and Kshetrajna. This is a very beautiful chapter, very subtle. We will try to understand it, and to understand this we have to take, as we have been taking, the help of Bhagavan Shankaracharya's commentary, Bhashya. And Bhagavan has written elaborate Bhashya on this chapter, and especially the second shloka, he writes some 4 or 5 pages of commentary on that. So we will try to understand. Okay, you have to pay proper attention, and if you don't get something, you can listen to this video again and again till the thing becomes clear. So we will begin. We shall read, I will read the introductory commentary which Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji has written. So it is always nice to listen to this beautiful words of Adi Shankaracharya. See, Adi Shankaracharya is Sakshat, that avatar of Lord Shiva only, who is Hiranyagarbha, who is actually expression of Ishvara only. So Ishvara's avatar itself is Shankaracharya, that's what we believe. So Shankaracharya ji was born with the knowledge of the Vedas, and in his commentary he reveals the proper understanding of this Vedas and Upanishads. So without his commentary, we will be totally confused. And misunderstanding Shankaracharya ji has created lot of confusion also. Shankaracharya ji never said that Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. We just pick it up from some other text and keep on repeating it hundreds of times. Every speaker on Vedanta keeps repeating this statement, which is not of Adi Shankaracharya. He says something totally different. Because if you say Jagat is Mithya, Mithya is an expression of ignorance. If we say Jagat is created due to ignorance, and the scriptures also say Bhagwan created the Jagat, so we will have to say Bhagwan is ignorant, which is not proper. Also, we can understand, the scriptures also say that if you want to understand Brahma, you can understand Brahma with the help of the Jagat only. In Brahma Sutra, the nature of that Brahma is revealed as Janmadyasya Yataha. Janma Adi Yasya Yataha. Means from whom the Janma, Sthiti and Laya of this world happen, that is Brahma. So there is a Karya Karana Sambandha between world and Brahma. Karya Karana Sambandha. Cause and effect relationship. World is effect, Brahma is cause. A lot of technical details and all are there, but broadly, world is effect, Brahma is cause. So there is cause and effect relationship between Brahma and the world. If you talk about rope and snake doesn't have cause and effect relationship. Snake is not caused by rope. But the scriptures talk about Brahma as cause, as the nimitta and upadan karana of Jagat. So the nature of this world should be understood properly. So nature of the world is Brahma, and nature of Jiva is also Brahma. Just as let us say we have a mud pot. So what is the relationship of that pot with space? There is universal space, and there is space in that pot also. Again, there is a pot. So from space only, the pot is nothing but the effect of space only, because from space only air has come, from air fire, from fire water, from water earth, and from that earth that pot is made. So the pot is an effect of space, and the pot space is directly space only. It is not an effect. It is space as it is, but as though confined. If this is understood, then our body is like pot, and the jiva is like pot space. So body, mind, intellect is like pot. They are modification of that Brahma, but the jiva is Brahma as it is. But even though modification, the body, mind, intellect and the world are Brahma only, and my own self is Brahma. So the nature of world, the Kshetra, and nature of jiva have to be properly ascertained. Therefore, this chapter begins. So let us read the beginning portion of Shankaracharya's Bhashya. If you have a book, you can read with me. In fact, all of you should have a book of Shankaracharya's Bhashya. If you can, you understand Sanskrit, then it should be in Sanskrit. Otherwise, you can have it in Sanskrit and with the translation in Hindi or English or any other language. But this book should be there because we are studying that only. If that book is not there, then how will you study? So, here Shankaracharya writes, Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha Atha Trayodashodhyayah Saptame Adhyaye Suchite Dve Prakriti Ishwarasya Triguణात्मिका अष्टधा भिन्ना अपरा संसार हेतुत्वात् परा च अन्या जीवभूता क्षेत्रज्ञ लक्षणा ईश्वरात्मिका. He says that in the 7th chapter, as I said, this whole Bhagavad Gita is one unit. It has to be understood together properly, holistically, completely. Though in generally people study one chapter or other chapter or some shlokas, but when you understand the whole Bhagavad Gita properly, then only the message is understood properly. So here Bhagwan keeps referring to the back chapters also and connect them with this chapter. He says in the 7th chapter, Saptame Adhyaye Shuchite Dve Prakriti Ishwarasya. There two Prakritis of Ishvara was indicated, the para and apara. So Triguణात्मिका Ashtadha Bhinna Apara Samsara Hetutvat. So apara Prakriti is Triguణात्मिका, three gunas, and it is eightfold. Bhumirapo nalo vayu kham mano buddhirevacha ahankariti yamme bhinna prakriti rashtadha. The pancha tanmatras, then ahankar, mahattattva, and avyakta. So eightfold prakriti is that apara prakriti, and then the pranas are indicated as Bhagwan's para prakriti, and through para prakriti alone, Bhagwan alone expresses as jiva. So paracha anya jiva bhuta kshetrajna lakshana ishwaratmika. So para prakriti is of the nature of Ishvara only, just like the space in the pot. So the pot space and the total space is same, but the pot is modification of space. So para prakriti is jiva bhuta, expressing a jiva as kshetrajna, is of the nature of Ishvara alone, and is apara prakriti appears different from Ishvara, but is also Ishvara alone. So yabhyam prakriti-bhyam Ishvaro jagat utpatti sthiti laya hetutvam pratipadyate. So through these two prakritis, Ishvara alone creates the world, sustains the world, and again dissolves the world. Through his Shakti, he creates the world, sustains the world, and dissolves the world. So Ishvara becomes the Utpatti Sthiti Laya Hetu, the very cause of this Utpatti Sthiti Laya. Yabhyam Prakriti Bhyam, through his Prakriti, Ishvara Jagat Utpatti Sthiti Laya Hetutvam Pratipadyate. So Tatra Kshetra Kshetrajna Lakshana Prakriti Dvaya Nirupana Dvarena Tadvat Ishvarasya Tattva Nirdharanartham Kshetradhyaya Arabhyate. Therefore, by ascertaining the real nature of the Kshetra, this world, and the real nature of Kshetrajna, we can understand the nature of Ishvara, who is avyakta, who is unseen, who is invisible, who is beyond everything. But we can understand Ishvara by studying the nature of this world and nature of the self. Therefore, this 13th chapter begins, which reveals the nature of the world and nature of the self. See, for example, oxygen. We can't see oxygen. Though we can't live without oxygen, but we can't see oxygen. It's a gas. Then hydrogen also we can't see. It is also gas. It is a vector. Oxygen and hydrogen cannot be seen. But when the oxygen and hydrogen come together in a specific proportion, the unseen hydrogen oxygen becomes manifest as water, H2O. So 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen join together to become the water molecule, and the unseen oxygen hydrogen becomes vector. Similarly, that Brahma, who is avyakta, through his prakriti, para and apara joined together, becomes vector. Now, though Brahma is avyakta, or let us say, though oxygen and hydrogen is avyakta, unseen, through water we can understand its existence. Since water exists and we know it, therefore hydrogen and oxygen, which is unseen, also exist. Since the world exists, since I exist, Brahma also exists. But Brahma is unseen, unknown, unthinkable. So by studying and understanding Kshetra and Kshetrajna, we can understand the nature of Brahma. It's very, very beautiful actually. Again, in the last chapter we had seen the lakshanas of a jnani bhakta was revealed as adveshta sarvabhutanam, maitra karuna evacha. Who is a jnani bhakta? Who has gained knowledge? Knowledge of whom? Knowledge of the Swarup of Ishvara. So what is the Swarup of Ishvara? That is revealed here. So Atitanantaradhyaye cha adveshta sarvabhutanam ityadina yavat adhyaya parisamaptihi tavat tatvajnaninam sannyasinam nishtha yatha te vartante iti etaduktam. So the lakshanas of a sannyasi, jnani, bhakta was revealed as adveshta, sarvabhutanam, etc. So kena punate tatvajnanena yukta. So with what knowledge are they endowed with? Yathokta dharmacharanat bhagavatah priya bhavanti, because of which knowledge they have this characteristic and they become very dear to Ishvara. So what knowledge did they gain? Iti evam arthacha ayam adhyaya arabhyate. To reveal that knowledge, this chapter begins. So prakriti cha trigunatmika sarva karya karana vishaya parinata purushasya bhogapavargartha kartavyataya dehendriyadi akarena sanhyante sa ayam sanghata iti idam shariram tad etat. So first Bhagwan reveals the nature of this sharira, the kshetra. So this body is called kshetra. And this body kshetra is a expression of that prakriti only, Bhagwan's apara prakriti. So Bhagwan revealed the nature of the kshetra and revealed the nature of kshetrajna. Okay? We will chant the first verse and then see the meaning of that verse tomorrow. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Idam Shariram Kaunteya Kshetramithyabhidhiyate Etad yo vetti tam prahuhu Kshetrajna iti tadvidah. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Bhagavan says, this body, He Kaunteya, is called Kshetra, field, Kshetra. And etad yo vetti, and one who knows this body, tam prahu kshetrajna, is called kshetrajna. So kshetrajna is the knower. This body is known. So known and knower are the two expressions of Bhagwan only. So Bhagwan is one, Brahma, with his Shakti called Prakriti, expresses as knower and known. So if you understand the essence of knower and known, you understand Brahma. More about this we will see in our class tomorrow. So till then you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy. Do your work, do your sadhana, do your prayer. Pray to Bhagwan to purify your mind and make you understand His supreme nature. Okay? And we shall meet again tomorrow. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Boli Syav Ramachandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.